Hey, welcome into Boston has entered the chat. If you love this show, make sure you check out Hold My Banner, available on Nesson as well. Ante Campbell and I get you ready for the Celtics playoff chase for Banner 19. Check us out. Hold My Banner can be found on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you get your podcast. Here we go. You know when you hear that noise, you know what time it is, don't ya? Boston has entered the chat. Travis Thomas here with George Balekji.
Man.
How you doing, Poppy?
Doing good, bro.
Hey,
it was fun being out opening day with you at Fenway.
Man.
Also got to meet Unc BB.
That's true.
The legend.
Man.
Travis's uncle was in town.
My uncle, listen.
He's not yet 60. I don't want to say he's
close.
age.
It's close enough.
The man's got, to no surprise, he's your blood. He's got energy like he's 30.
I didn't actually realize how crazy I am until we were hanging out with my uncle, with George, with Ante Campbell, and Ethan, and we're all hanging out, and I'm like, oh, he's crazy. And then I thought, that must mean I'm crazy, because it runs through the veins.
You're nuts. In the best way possible, though. Like, I love your energy, man. It's how it takes a special person to tolerate me as much as we are together.
Fair.
But you always keep me in a good mood because you're one of the most.
Yeah.
Your energy is one of the healthiest energies you could be around daily.
Thank you, bro.
So
thank you.
It's a good crazy though.
It's crazy.
Crazy ain't bad, man.
It's crazy.
Crazy ain't bad.
Well, not all crazy.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I got the good kind of crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man.
It was cool meeting your family. Man.
Thank you,
Met
bro.
your cousin Aunt too.
Yeah. No, you'll be at the family reunion. Just be ready for that.
I am getting a plate at the cookout.
All right.
You're also honorary Armenian, so you're coming to my family reunion too.
See what we're doing here?
You'll be the tallest person there. You will love it.
This is
you and a
world
bunch
peace.
of short armos. It would be fantastic.
This is world peace we're doing here on Boston has entered the chat. Now, coming up, one of the Sox biggest rivals just dropped a bag on their best player. We'll tell you who. Speaking of the Sox, they are playing better lately. There's no denying that. George and I will discuss why. And the UConn women had their one shining moment cutting down the nets, so we're celebrating that. And I always say Boston has entered the chat is interactive, so please email us, thechat@nesson.com. You can also tweet at us using the hashtag NessonChat as well. So I teased one of the biggest rivals just dropped a bag off for their best player, and it's Vlad Jr. I mean, these numbers are incredible. I actually made the comment in the newsroom that I thought, if he had hit free agency, he could have got more money. And I thought George was going to jump across the table at me because Vlad Jr. Vlad Jr. and the Blue Jays, 14 years, 500 M's. And George, it's not like the Dodgers deals where it's deferred to the year 5,000. It's all good, baby.
Yeah.
Vlad got paid.
And it's like the Mets deals for Juan Soto. It's real money, all up front. That makes him total value of the contract. The AAV is what is insane. Mm-hmm. Total value still third most, $500 million. Only the third non-pitcher to ever get $500 million or more. Gosh. But Shohei with the $700 million obviously has all that deferred money. Yeah. For me, it's the AAV that puts him in that neighborhood where he's getting just over $35 million a year, 35.7. But when you look at, and again, yes, he's a first baseman, but he's an awful defensive first baseman. So he's more like a DH.
He's a DH.
But this is the type of AAV money this is what a Freddie Freeman should be getting paid, what Albert Pujols in his prime should be getting paid.
Yeah.
And Freddie Freeman, better defender, clutch hitter. We've seen him obviously win multiple rings. And yes, he's in that vaunted Dodgers lineup. But this is a contract that's absolutely massive, but it's also where baseball is going. Juan Soto, with his massive deal, where he got $765 million over 15 years.
Yeah.
Just like a Vlad Jr., he's a DH. Now, Juan Soto is the best hitter in baseball, and Juan Soto hit the open market.
Plays defense, too.
And he got this from the Mets. This contract is a reflection of, yes, that's a good bat, really good bat you could get from a Vlad Jr., but also what the situation is with the Blue Jays. They're trying to reestablish themselves as a serious clubhouse, as a serious ball club. They never get the vaunted free agents. They're always in the conversations with those big names.
That's right.
Also with Vlad Jr., homegrown talent, face of the franchise, one of the most powerful hitters in all of baseball. Are the overall numbers there to justify $500 million? Maybe no. I would say no. But It's also where the market's headed. And this sets a table for what guys like a Pete Alonso is going to get paid when he hits the open market from the Mets. Yes, he's older, but I'm talking AV here. Kyle Tucker, who's on an out year as he's with the Cubs. Better defender, stills around 30, 35 home runs, just like a Vlad. This is where the market's going. Vlad Jr. got paid, and I was just dazzled by this, man. And this is a guy that's going to be a DH. And for the complaints of what Rafael Devers is getting paid to be a DH, this is the one that puts in perspective. Vlad got 14 years, $500 million to keep losing in Toronto. Then you look at the Devers contract, which if he's hitting like he's supposed to be, we'll get into that conversation later.
Sure.
But when he's at the height of his powers, he's a top 3, top 5 hitter in all baseball. Rafi Devers is. You will take that at that number because that's what translates to wins when he slots in as a DH. Does his contract move the needle for the Blue Jays? No, but it could be appeasing to potential free agents of Vlad is here to stay. That's the anchor and the power of this lineup. You come sign, we'll put you around Vlad Jr. That's someone you want to hit around.
Yeah, essentially you're building around him, which I do understand. Listen, I thought you gave me a lot to unpack there. Let's start with, because I agree with you, he's basically a DH. He's a terrible defensive first baseman. This deal, 14 years, is significant because by the time he's a free agent, he'll be 40 by the time this deal's over. So essentially, he's going to spend his career with the Blue Jays unless he forces a trade down the line. But essentially, this wraps him up there forever. I thought you also brought up a good point about, hey, on the field, it doesn't much move the needle because, I mean, yes, he's productive as a player, but he clearly doesn't help you win. They haven't won anything with him.
Yeah.
I thought the biggest point you made, though, is exactly where I'm headed. They were in the sweepstakes for Soto. I'll add another name. They were in the sweepstakes for Ohtani.
Yeah.
So, and going all the way back to Bryce Harper, I mean, they've taken swings. Judge, they've taken swings at all these guys, and they've came up short on all of them. And with Vlad being homegrown, as you said, he does move the needle for them in terms of ticket sales. I looked this up. I'm not going to put any numbers here, but I looked this up for this series with the Sox. These ticket prices in Toronto are bottom of the barrel basement price-wise. So I'm like, you cannot afford, quite literally, to lose Vlad Jr. I think this has much more to do with the balance sheet, with the bottom line for the Blue Jays ownership and for that franchise. And they did a good job in that, keeping him here. Because around these parts, and I was the main one beating this drum, I thought for sure, with every report we were hearing, that the teams are, Vlad and the team is not on the same page. I said, oh, he's going to be a Red Sox. And I thought for sure, at some point, if they're that far off on money, I thought the Blue Jays were being cheap. And I said, okay, let's have him hit the open market. Sox will have to bid, with everyone else. But I thought he could get more money on the open market.
Yeah.
As you so passionately jumped in my case for, no, the hell he ain't. I mean, this is likely the best deal he could have got, which is why he took it. So kudos to his team, his agents and managers and all them working this out with the Blue Jays because clearly they pulled them into the deep waters they wanted to be in. But from, I think, a baseball standpoint, I don't think this moves the needle at all. The Blue Jays are mediocre at best, and they're not going to win anything with Vlad Jr.
He's still a very productive hitter. Like he had a 165 runs created plus last season.
Yeah.
So 100's average in baseball. He was 65 points in runs created plus, above average as a hitter. So that's very phenomenal. That's up there as the top hitters. This guy can give you 45 potential home runs in a season. He hasn't done that in a few years, but that's the type of power he has.
That's the potential.
With his big bat, with his type of swing.
Yep.
It's a deal that had to get done because the Blue Jays absolutely needed it. This was a guy that was looking to get paid, wanted to hit the open market. And of course, money talks. He set the deadline when I report for spring training. I want an extension. If not, I'm going to be a free agent. Don't talk to me. Then he got 14 years, $500 million, all real money as well. And this contract for the Blue Jays takes him from age 27 to age 40. So on their end of the long-term deal, and eventually it should age where it becomes market value. They're getting ahead of that. Should be well. If he becomes a pillar that they build around, this is a good contract, which it should be. This move by the Blue Jays and their ownership shows that they're serious about baseball business. They weren't going to trade him at the deadline or let him walk. They got him locked up long-term. Next is a Bo Bichette. They have to go that route. I was amazed at $500 million, though, nonetheless. Like that, this is just such a massive number. When you go on the total value, when you go on the AAV, like And now, of course, contracts that are older, like this is more than what a Francisco Lindor is making.
Yeah.
This is just under for AAV what Judge is making. He's making $40 million a year. So is Bregman, but that's with deferred money on what he's getting. I just think of like the Manny Machado type deals where $350 million total, and that's a guy that plays third base.
Right.
Even the Tatis type, where that's a guy that plays defense.
Yeah.
For someone to just hit a $500 million,
well,
this was again him playing a franchise in a ball club that was desperate.
That's it. And that's where I was going to go.
He had the leverage.
Yeah, some of those guys you named, Machado, for example, tested the market. So this is what I mean.
Yeah.
But the Blue Jays were in such dire straits to retain this guy because things aren't great there anyways. So now you would take your hot ticket item and have him walk right out of your life, or potentially, which I always thought, is I thought the Sox would trade for Vladdy Jr. at the deadline and then figure out the finances on the other end of it. So sort of a rental, I guess. That's for not. I don't know if that was ever in the Sox plans to begin with. Yeah. It was just something that me and crazy fans were floating around. But I tell you what, it did. Part of me was a little heartbroken to see that he's off the market now because I thought that was a move potentially the Sox could have made.
Yeah, but at this number, like to make the leap, like a Mookie Betts got $365 million, Aaron Judge got $360 million. To make that jump, not even just breaking the $400 million pay threshold, which is Mike Trout, Juan Soto, and Shohei Ohtani, $400 million plus now, going right to $500.
Yeah,
that's something I'm fine with. Like, yes, that bat would be incredible. Yes, that swing is so powerful, especially at a ballpark like Fenway. But for this total value, for this length of the deal too, just think of a guy like Mookie Betts and the deal that he's under, making just over, 300. He's making $365 million. Now he signed that 2021, I believe, 4 years ago, and he signed that when he was 28 at that age, so right around the ballpark of Vlad Jr. But Mookie Betts, five-tool player, versatile defensively, can be your best hitter in the playoffs, like we saw what he did in 2020 on the way to that World Series run as well. That's what gets me with this $500 million total number for a DH, where I talked about it. Rafi's looks like, that's a bargain now for $300 million plus. But $500 million for DH, yes, good. That's a number I would have been fine with the Red Sox staying away from. Yes, there's no salary cap in baseball, and the players will continue to push that because they want numbers like this. But owners are privy to what their revenue is, what they can afford, what they're willing to pay for.
Their budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
$500 million. You're pouring $35 million a year into a Vlad Jr. That I'm fine with them staying away from that.
Damn, dog. We should have worked on our swing more.
You got kids. I would just put it. Second I get done with this pod, if I'm you, I am putting them in the cage. Dad, I don't even like baseball. I don't care.
Look at this. Swing this bat now,
bro. It's and the money. It's when it's baseball and the NBA. It's fully guaranteed. Everything's 100% guaranteed. That's what's amazing with this one. At his age, he was like, $35 million a year. You say he could have waited open market. Yeah, the number would have gone up. Wait for a Pete Alonso to get paid and then him.
Right.
But at his age, $500.
No, I
can't pass up on that.
500 big ones. You got to sign right there. And by the way, I would be gambling a bit if I were him. That's assuming he has a good season this season. So far, he hasn't even hit a home run. So it's like, look, sure. I'm just saying, it's easy to say, okay, let me hit the market, see how much I can get. But if you don't have a good season this season, that could affect you as well. Email us at chat@nesson.com. Let us know what you think about Vlad Jr. staying in Toronto. You can also tweet at us using the hashtag NessonChat as well. And how about this? Tune into the Baseball Hour with Tony Maserati on 98.5, the Sports Hub, every weeknight at 6 p.m. throughout the season. Okay, so my dreams for Vlad Jr. coming to Boston are kaput.
Yeah.
But right now, this team doesn't need him. I mean, honestly, George, we were there. We felt the excitement. We felt the energy in Fenway over the weekend.
Yeah.
This team feels hotter than fish grease. They're starting to play much better. I mean, you look at Bregman's numbers. He continues to just absolutely demolish at Fenway. Mm-hmm. Devers now hitting better. Abreu, a lot of people saying could be the MVP of the season if it were given out today. What gives for how the Sox are playing right now in your mind?
I mean, it's just the bats finally woke up.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone was waiting on. That's where the frustration was beginning of the season. But this is a lineup. You see them win Game 1 on Sunday. Yep. It goes to 10 innings, win 5-4. Then Game 2 on Sunday, put up 18 runs, only hitting one home run as well. Like, just showing it doesn't have to be dip and jack. It's just such a productive lineup from top to bottom. And you look at, who is it? Trevor Story, Rafael Devers, he had 2 doubles. Alex Bregman had 2 doubles. Jarren Duran, Narvaez, and Wilyer Abreu, all those extra base hits on top of that home run they got from Alex Bregman in the second game.
Yep.
It just shows the depth of that they have. With Jarren Duran leading off, Rafael Devers waking up, which he has since the calendar flipped to April. Alex Bregman getting settled in, getting that torpedo bat, but finding his power. Tristan Casas going yard like he did as well earlier in the weekend. And then when you get those 4 first hitters, your top 4 hitters clicking.
Yes.
Then what you get from a Wilyer Abreu. Trevor Story's been performing well. And then Christian Campbell with his bat still on fire. That's where this lineup shines through. You have the heavy hitters up top. Then when you get to the depth, Wilyer Abreu, Trevor Story, what else can they get from a Christian Campbell? What else can they get from a Ceddanne Rafael if he continues to limit his swings and misses?
Man.
It's a depth of this lineup that makes them dangerous, and that's what it is. But it's also the motors of the lineup that they have, where Devers went from 15 strikeouts his first 19 at-bats to now 10 for his last 19, with 5 walks included in that as well, and slashing with a 1467 OPS. That's what you want from him. He got his timing down. He started taking walks at the end of March after his struggles. He continued to be patient at the plate. He's allowing pitchers to continue to pitch to him in the strike zone because it didn't make sense. As he's drawing these walks, it's like, why would you not pitch to him as much as he's struggling? But he dared him, got his timing down, got his eyes right. And as we saw for the 2 doubles he hit off that center field wall, both of those where he's ahead of the ball, keeping his eyes down, just swinging with power, and going opposite field in those as well. That's what you like to see, especially with that second double he hit on Sunday night. Pitcher missed his location by a wide margin. You got to make him pay. That's what Rafael Devers, that's where he's at his best. He puts a pressure on pitchers where they know they can't make a mistake, and when they do, he makes them pay, and that's what just took him a little while to wake up, and now he's getting settled in. What did we say at Fenway when the news broke that he's going to be the everyday DH? It's going to take patience.
Yeah, that's right.
He had to be patient in that as well. He was, and now look at him rolling.
He deserves credit for that, but so does Alex Cora. And, a lot of people roll their eyes when I said, look, the X factor this season for the Red Sox, to me, isn't a player. It's a skipper. It's Alex Cora. These are the kind of things that I talk about because how many other teams, this could have went sideways. I mean, we talked, it felt like all of spring training. We were talking about the Devers or Bregman at third and what we're going to do. And then the announcement came out, right? And Devers wasn't exactly thrilled at first. But I think Alex Cora, the way he handled that announcement, the way he's handled the whole sort of reshuffling there, keeping Devers patient, keeping Devers calm, cool, and collected, saying in the media, taking those arrows when Devers was struggling, hey, we're sticking with him. He's going to be just fine. He's going to be just fine. Look, I think there's something to be said when your skipper, a good one, a great one, is supposed to be the maestro behind the scenes, making sure everything goes smoothly. I actually think it's poetic that it's Bregman and Devers right now hitting the snot out of the ball and getting this team back on track. And I think you're absolutely right. The key for the Red Sox this season is what we all expected, that these bats would be popping. Now they are. So the key now is just this pitching staff.
Yeah.
Keep them healthy. They don't have to be great, although we'll take it. The expectations aren't for them to be great, just to be serviceable. You're deeper. If the baseball gods can keep this pitching staff healthy, this is the team. The way they're playing now, currently, this is the team all of us expected to see, and they're starting to live up to that hype. And I believe, George, this is sustainable. This is how this team was built. I think this is how they win. This is how they will compete in the AL. I've been saying all season long, even before the season started, I don't think the American League is dynamic. The National League is, but I don't believe the American League is. I like the Royals. I like the Tigers. I like some of these teams. I don't love them. I think the Red Sox are right there in that grouping, and if they play the way they're playing now, offense is sustainable, I believe. Stay consistent. Stay hot. Gosh, pray for health at this pitching staff. Be serviceable. I think this team can win the American League, George.
And I think it's also this team, to get back to the playoffs and to win the American League, like you said, they have to be opportunistic. Like when you're facing a 36-year-old Miles Mikolas getting that second game start for the Cardinals, they jumped all over him.
They sure did.
And it was also, too, the struggles we saw with how bad they were with runners in scoring position to start the season. But again, this was all about the patience game. Like they were 4 or 5 games into an 162-game season. Don't have to lay that out on why that you shouldn't panic at that point. Just 5 games in to a 162-game season. But it was Jarren Duran, Alex Bregman, Ceddanne Rafaela, Rafael Devers, all with 2 or more hits. That Sunday night game, the second half of that doubleheader, that second game on Sunday, all 2 or more hits with runners in scoring position. It was guys getting on base and the rest of them driving them home. Where in a way, that is so inspiring to see for confidence in a lineup where they don't have to hit the long ball constantly. For Alex Bregman, and sure, he had a home run in that second game, but he doesn't. Everyone's talking about his swing. And that 310 in left field, just got to hit long fly balls over the green monster, and Bregman's going to eat. And we've seen that showcased, but he doesn't have to rely on that. He's a professional hitter. Trevor Story, finally healthy so far, professional hitter. You put that around a Jarren Duran that's still growing, a Rafael Devers settling into his role, Wilyer Abreu that's waking up. And you got to talk about the guy that's been on fire with Wilyer. It's motivated baseball for him. He knows, and I've said it in previous episodes of the show, when he looks to his right, he looks at Ceddanne Rafaela in center and goes, he has the extension. And when he looks at Jarren Duran in left, he goes, that guy just had a phenomenal year.
Yes.
I may have won a gold glove, but those guys aren't going anywhere. I need to prove my case of staying here. And how that can work. Like we saw Christian Campbell shift back to center field with Ceddanne Rafaela getting the day off at center and with Jarren Duran staying at left. Okay, if that's how they want to look at it, you want Ceddanne with the day off at center field, maybe that's a Wilyer is I go to left, Duran to center, Roman Anthony to right, and Christian Campbell sticks at second, or you just don't move him because with that punch out he had, that throw to third, that grounder that went right to like the shallow right field grass, and he just scooped it, ripped it, and gunned that runner out. Like those phenomenal plays. He's coming off a Gold Glove season, can do it again.
It should be noted, too. I'm just looking at the standings. I know it's early. So before you say, Trav, there's so much baseball left to be played, this is why the American League East is ridiculous. Essentially, every team in the division damn near has the same record, right? Couple games here or there. In the Central, Tigers right now, a cut above. The White Sox season's already over. They're 2-7. Rangers a cut above. Mariners 3-7. I mean, honestly, Phillies crushing it. Braves 1-8. Now it's the Braves. We think they'll turn it around, but you could see the discrepancy here. Cubs really good. Reds off to a slow start. The Rocky season's already over. Meanwhile, the Giants and Dodgers are killing it. So it just shows you, I mean, the American League East, top to bottom, is the best in baseball, and it's not even close. Speaking of the best of, New England just added yet another title. More on that in 30 seconds. Meanwhile, the Red Sox are back, baby! Woo! And everyone is watching closely to see if this team is playoff bound. We know you have a lot of questions about the Sox future, so we asked the players, coaches, executives, and alumni those same questions on Nesson's Baseball Podcast, 310 to Left. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you get your podcasts. All right, George, another title for the Huskies. UConn women absolutely destroyed South Carolina, 82-59 for its 12th national title. Now, I was taking a victory lap during this game because I correctly predicted UConn would win the whole shebang-a-bang. And I correctly predicted UConn, South Carolina, in the title. What I did not correctly predict was a beatdown. I did not see this coming. I thought this would be an epic game, back and forth. Geno against Don Staley. Like, I thought all of it, right? Hollywood stuff. Maybe Paige Becker's game winner. I had it all plotted out in my head. George, this was absolute dominance from the opening tap.
Yeah. And I think you talk about it like what would have been great is like a Paige Becker's buzzer beater, too, right? But it's also just Hollywood that for UConn to come out and dominate like this was the old UConn Huskies we're used to seeing. And it's taking down the new age of the UConn Huskies because this is a South Carolina team. And Don Staley, that's won a national championship in 2017 and the last 2 years as well. So they were going for history on their own. But this UConn team was finally healthy. We've seen Paige Beckers, as she won, first freshman to ever win Player of the Year, National Player of the Year, but loses a season to a torn ACL, battled her injuries. This team dealing with injuries as well. AZ Fudd as well. She had a torn ACL, battled through injuries herself. But it was a UConn team finally healthy, a UConn team motivated, which you don't have to say. And it's also for Geno Auriemma, 71 years old, winning his first national championship since 2016, dominating like this. it just shows how deep that entire program is. I was trying to find the exact right words to say, because it's weird to say that.
Yeah.
But it's when they're healthy, when they're right, it's the same old UConn.
Right.
It's been a while since that point. But it was AZ Fudd with 24 points. Paige Beckers didn't have the most dominant game, finished with just 17.
She didn't need to.
But defensively, what she was doing at the 4 spot, and then the freshman Sarah Strong, this is where it gets laughable. Sarah Strong was just a freshman.
That's right.
Finished with 24 points and 15 rebounds. And to me, was the most dominant player on the floor for either team. Defending around the rim, as South Carolina likes to attack inside. They're not a shooting team as they were this year. But also just getting the boards off the glass, defensively around the rim, and then AZ Fudd with her mid-range game and attacking the basket working for her. It was just a levels to this, and it was finally Fudd and Beckers healthy. And then with the support like they need for a strong player like a Sarah Strong.
You said it. Fudd and Beckers being healthy, I thought made all the difference in the world. And they would have had more titles together had they both dealing with knee injuries, quite frankly, past couple years. By the way, AZ Fudd, you know where she's from, right?
Baltimore.
DC.
There you go.
Covered her.
DMV. DC's got hoopers.
I'm telling you.
And it's that also with Sarah Strong being just a freshman.
Yep.
This was the making of a few seasons for them to win this championship.
Yes.
Because Paige Beckers has dealt with her injuries, and that would be putting AZ Fudd in a bigger role.
That's right.
AZ Fudd has dealt with her injuries.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you see last season, KK Arnold and Ashlyn Shade playing 30-plus minutes a night.
Yep.
They were starters because of injuries. They were backups.
Yes.
Throughout this entire season and this run. But they, as sophomores, they buy into that role. They buy into Geno Auriemma.
Yep.
And look what it did, where they were key contributors in this championship game. It's the depth they had, and it was this team getting Final Four experience, still making it, as injured as they've been, too.
They were tough.
Beckers has led them to multiple Final Fours.
They're still tough.
Having that experience, but end of the day, you need those elite ballers.
That's right.
And what Paige was doing defensively, what AZ Fudd was doing, I think was so impressive of, on one end of the floor, picking on Malaysia Fulwali, picking her pocket midcourt, double teaming her on a drive, knocking the ball out of her hands again when they're on the defensive end of the floor, and going end to end with that, just getting points off turnovers. But also how efficient she was. She was 6 for 11 on 2-point field goals. Finished with 24 points. This was a team in UConn that didn't hit their first 3 with under 10 seconds left in the first half, and that put them up 36-26.
That's insane.
For them to dominate a USC team like this, I was so surprised.
Yeah.
But again, that's the respect to a UConn team. Since they lost to Tennessee beginning of February, won 16 straight. Average margin of victory was 32-plus points per game. The closest win they had, 14 points over USC in the Elite Eight. This was a team that was so locked in and dialed in and wanted to get back to the top.
It was one of the reasons I predicted them to win it, because I thought as the season went on, it felt very much – I don't know if Geno ever came out and said it, but it felt kind of minutes restriction-esque to me. He wasn't tasking his best players with a ton of minutes. He was allowing that depth to carry them, and by the time they got to the tournament, they were healthy. And it just goes to show you, too, how health is so critical in this stuff, because Juju gets hurt. USC's finished. Meanwhile, UConn in past years, like we're talking about, Fudd's hurt, Becker's hurt. Now they're healthy. They go on to win the thing. Now, what happens after every championship, you start having the legacy conversations. I think Paige Beckers, now that she has one title. Now, we've seen great players with more than one. But I think now that she does have that title and she captured it, I think it does catapult her, certainly not to the top, but when you talk about great UConn women hoopers, when you talk about great women hoopers, period, you have to now mention Paige Becker's name. I also feel the same way with Geno Auriemma. Now, I think you and I have talked about this before. We both consider him the GOAT already, but now you just add a 12th natty to the resume. It's almost like Saban at the end, where we already felt like Saban was a GOAT, and then he just added 2 more natties for good measure. That's what it feels like with Geno, is he is separating himself from the rest of the pack when you talk GOAT coaches, maybe in all of sports, if we're being honest, but certainly in women's college basketball.
I mean, how do you not put him up in the conversation? Because it's Geno with his 12 national championships. It's John Wooden with his 10 natties. It's Pat Summitt with her 8. And then it's everyone else. There's Coach K with his 5, and then there's a bunch of people with 3 national championships, including Don
You could
Staley.
make the case Geno's the greatest coach ever, period.
And it's because he did it. His first ring came in 95.
Right.
Then there was the early 2000 runs. 2000, then 02, 03, 04 they won.
That's where he's building the powerhouse.
Right. So there's winning in 2000, then there's a 3-peat.
Yes.
Then there's the Breonna Stewart era where she 4-peated. Bar none, she's the best player in program history.
Yes.
It's her and Diana Taurasi 1-2, and then there's everyone else.
Absolutely.
Wins in 16, doesn't win since. And it's how the game has literally changed. And you hear it all the time, but it's true. They go portaling. Like Geno Auriemma is not above the portal.
Yeah.
He will go and add starters to it, like he did in this run. That's what, to me, how do you not say he's the greatest college basketball coach of all time? With the multiple rings, dominating the women's game. And even as a parity is up there, and Dawn Staley's catching up. She's recruiting all these McDonald All-Americans. And it's also with the run that they had. Yes, no Juju Watkins with USC, but they beat 1 seed USC 78-64, UCLA by 34 points, and then they beat South Carolina 82-59, 3 straight ones. Now, of course, when Geno got his start, when they were having the beginning, it was basically Tennessee and UConn, and then there was everyone else. So it wasn't as much parity. There wasn't as much competition on the top. And that's where he got a lot of his rings. So I can understand that argument. But 12 national championships, and again, to get the buy-in from his team like this, and he sets up players for success. It's not like he has great college players that do nothing in the W.
Sure.
He has players that are great at UConn and great in the W.
Page will be great in the W.
He's up
Flood
there.
will be great in the W.
He is up there as one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time. As is
He might be the
as is
guy.
Pat Summitt, as is John Wooden,
Yeah.
as is Coach K, as is Don Staley right now, as is Kim Mulkey, as is Roy Williams, Bob Knight.
Sure.
You have to put them all in that conversation, just how they dominate the sport.
It's no doubt about it, man. It's really impressive what he's been able to do. And by the way, you brought up South Carolina. They are not going anywhere. I'm looking, as you know, George, everything comes back to gambling for me. I'm looking at next year's odds as we talk. South Carolina, the favorite, plus 450. Juju and USC, plus 500. UConn right there, plus 600. And then LSU, Notre Dame, and Texas all at plus 750. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, Fudd's a great player. I think she'll be great in the W. I think I would probably bet on South Carolina. We could be looking at this title game all over again next year, depending on brackets. Because let's talk about this, too. You know, when these brackets came out, I thought the committee missed a huge opportunity. Now, obviously, it didn't work out because Juju Watkins got hurt.
Yeah.
But I thought seeing UConn and USC in the same region was stupid.
Yeah.
I thought that could have been a title game. But, hey, next best thing is South Carolina, UConn. If I'm them next season, I'm going to try to make sure I seed them accordingly where we could potentially get a rematch in next year's championship game, because right now I'd probably bet South Carolina and UConn again. I bet South Carolina to win it all at plus 450. But I will say this, my friend.
Yeah.
I have never seen Dawn Staley like that in my life. I mean, she was flustered to the upteenth degree. I've never seen her quite like that, but I understood why watching the game. They didn't shoot well. UConn had that defense on them. There were some questionable calls there early that shifted momentum. I get it. I would have been frustrated cussing everybody out too.
It was the buy-in that it was defensively. Like, again, when I'm talking about AZ Fudd, who dropped 24 points, I'm talking about her defense on
Beckers too.
Malaysia Fulwali. And Paige Beckers at that 4 spot when Sarah Strong is on the floor in the 5.
That's right.
Defensively, I'm talking. But this is a team that 2017, it was Asia Wilson.
Yeah.
Then their next natty, it was Aaliyah Boston. Then after that, it was Camila Cardozo last year.
That's right.
Where, like, that was the alpha on the floor for South Carolina. This was a team no one averaged more than 25 minutes or 12 points per game. Where through the regular season and, conference tournament play, it could be, hey, it's anybody's night. I'll be ready. But if it's not their night, it'll be mine.
Yes.
But eventually there is someone you have to defer to if they're going to dominate the game. You run the offense through them.
Yes.
It can be Joyce Edwards, who's just a freshman for them this season. Because you'll see the flashes, 22 points in 21 minutes. Then you'll see 6 points in 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Then you'll go back up 17 and 20, but then it'll be the dip. It was just inconsistent for her. But as a freshman, playing with all those McDonald's All-Americans, it's tough to find your confidence on the floor and what your role is. Moving forward, Dawn Staley, and she probably learned from this one because she's a great coach. I need to hone in on one player, and that has to be my leader on the floor scoring. And it could be a Joyce Edwards. She is special because when she's on, she's on. Her bag is deep. She's such a lethal scorer. She could do what a Juju Watkins or an AZ Fudd does for their offenses. I think that's where this team goes. They were deep. They were balanced. But when it comes to tournament play and winning national championships, you can have all the depth in the world. You need the person when the pressure's on, when the stage is biggest, when the lights are brightest, who's going to take your shot? Who's going to make that shot for you? UConn had them, and South Carolina didn't have them yet. But again, they were going for a three-peat. Like, this is such a good program. It's funny, you look at this UConn team. This was an all-time UConn team. You talked about Paige. She was top 10 of program history.
Absolutely.
As is.
Yes.
Before winning this ring.
She needed this.
She's top 5.
Yeah,
and
I
this
agree.
Is a program, Stewart.
Yep.
With Nafisa Collier.
Lobo.
With Rebecca Lobo.
So many greats.
Swin Cash.
So many greats.
Right? Like Diana Taurasi. Again, like so many big-time players.
Yeah.
This was one that was missing from Paige Becker's resume. She was an all-time GOAT without it.
Yes.
But I'm so happy there is a conversation of, she's an all-time great, but no. She's an all-time great, and she won the whole thing.
It also pads Geno Auriemma. I'm looking at this now, 24th Final Four. He's now 12-1 in championship games. The only loss came to South Carolina a couple years back. I mean, it's an unbelievable run that they've been on. I can't wait to see what the future holds for both of these programs, which is why I said I would bet on both of them. Hey, for more NCAA tournament talk, check out Nesson's basketball podcast, Hold My Banner. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, so we're hooping it up there, George, but now we need to skate gracefully to the ice with Casey Hudson and our Hockey Hub peeps. She caught up with BU head coach Jay Pandolfo. Mm-hmm. You know, the Frozen Four is set to drop that puck on Thursday, so she caught up with Coach to talk about all the excitement.
All right, hockey fans, joining me now here on the Hockey Hub on Nesson, BU hockey head coach Jay Pandolfo. Jay, how's it going? Or coach, how's it feel getting prepared for your now third straight appearance as head coach for the Frozen Four?
Yeah, it's been. It seems like it's been a long time with this week in between after regionals. Seems like a long stretch of practice, and I know our guys are looking forward to flying out tomorrow and getting to St. Louis and gearing up to play on Thursday. So, but it's been good. We got some good work in next week. Last week also able to get some rest, which I think has helped along the way here. And we're gearing up this week. Had a good practice today, and we'll have another good one tomorrow before we fly out, and then get out there and get ready to go.
Yeah, you mentioned the time, and sometimes you don't want limbs getting too cold, even though you guys are practicing and staying at it. But what's the temperature check with the group right now, where their heads, their mindsets are at now that they're getting ready to gear up, hop on a flight, and get things going?
I think they're excited. I think the guys, we probably have 8 to 10 guys that have been part of this the last couple of years. So I think they have an understanding that, listen, we have to make sure that we try to stay as focused as possible here, knowing that we have 2 weeks before the first game. And our guys have done a good job, the leaders of our team, to keep our guys focused and making sure we're putting the right amount of work in practice, but also understanding, too, that we have to get a little bit of rest and also enjoy the time and get excited for what's ahead.
Yeah, and I know, like, as young players, one of the hardest things is to make sure you stay present while you are equally as excited. But what I love about this BU group is you look at the top of the year, and these guys are kind of counted out, and now they're counted on, especially when it comes to the New England area, representing Hockey East. What's that kind of like, being the team that's representing New England at this moment in the Frozen Four?
Yeah, I think we're proud as a group. Hockey East was a great league this year. Any one of the teams that made the tournament could have moved on to this point. But when you get to these one-game situations, it's tough. You need some bounces along the way. You need some breaks. And, we got those and ended up back here. So we're proud to represent Hockey East. And, you just want to make sure that we're ready to go. And we're playing our best hockey going into Thursday against Penn State.
Yeah, I'm sure because of how competitive Hockey East was and the expectation of a number of teams getting to this point, probably got you guys entirely prepared. I mean, you've got a Beanpot victory in the arsenal, a tough showdown with UConn in the semis, and then now getting prepared for the Frozen Four. But what I'm excited about when it comes to this BU group is when you're going against an opponent, I'm sure one of the things that's got them rattling in their skates is you guys' ability to just command the neutral zone for one and just take advantage of gaps for two. Like, how impressive has your group been in kind of having that advantage over a number of teams that they've played against? Saw that big exposure versus BC months ago.
Yeah, we have a group that we have the ability to score, and when we're feeling good and playing the game the right way, that's usually when we get our chances. When we try to complicate the game, that's when we have trouble. But our team, when they have confidence and understand when we do have ice in front of us and we have time to make our plays off the rush and make our plays in the offensive zone, that's when we're pretty good. We get in trouble when there's not a lot there and we're trying to make something happen. When the right play is just to put it behind them and go to work that way. So it's a balancing act for our group. We've had our struggles this year at times, and I think that's helped us understand this time of year. You have to play a certain way if you want to have success. So, again, it's a credit to our group. I think the stuff we've been through this year, the Beanpot game, having a tough first period, we were on our heels, but finding a way within that game to come back and understand that if we're going to have a chance to come back and win the Beanpot, we're going to have to play a certain way, and we did that. So we've been through a lot of different scenarios from our group. And the UConn game, another example, in the semifinals, we did not play well, and we beat ourselves. UConn's a great team, but we knew what they were going to bring, and they brought a heavy forechecking game, and we weren't advancing pucks out of our zone, and it was difficult for us, and they took advantage of us. And I think we've learned from that situation that we have to play a certain way if we want to win.
Yeah, they were surprising in terms of their physicality and just how much they tried to wear down their opponent, but probably a really good lesson to learn before heading in to the Final Four. You kind of mentioned weathering the storm in a first period a bit there, and when it came to my notes for BU specifically, it was always watch out, be caution for these second period adjustments. It seems like your team has a tremendous ability to adjust in that second period, take over games. What does it speak to the coachability of these guys that you have on your roster? Because you see a number of teams that they know what to do, they know where the adjustments need to be made, but making those adjustments in a timely manner before letting the game get away from them just is a big struggle, especially for a young group.
Yeah, we're a resilient group. That's been the challenge for our coaching staff, is getting these guys to understand that we have to start the game a certain way, and sometimes it takes us a little bit of time to get going. And this time of year, though, that's not going to be a good recipe. And even in the Ohio State game, our first regional game, first period, again, we were outshot 15-2, playing on our heels. I thought we got caught up on the moment a little bit, and that's going to happen when you have a young group. A lot of guys, their first experience in the NCAA tournament, but we settled down and found a way to find our game, and our goaltender kept us in it in that first period. But we found our game in the second, found our legs a little bit, and in the third, we opened it up. And I think it was, again, another lesson for our group that if we were going to start the game like that against Cornell, it was not going to go very well. So we were ready to go in that first period against a very good Cornell team. And I mean, clearly that game could have went either way. It comes down to one shot in overtime. But again, our guys kind of stuck with it and probably played one of our more complete games versus Cornell.
Yeah, well, speaking of kind of getting off to a quicker start and not waiting too long to have those adjustments take place, you guys get ready to take on a pretty fast Penn State team. But when you talk to a number of other teams throughout Hockey East, they've docked you guys as the fast team to go up against: high tempo, high transitions, all of these really quality things to bring to the ice. So how do you prepare for a team that's going to try to equally slow you down as much as you need to slow them down?
Yeah, Penn State, they are really fast in transition, and a completely different type of team than Cornell and even Ohio State, where they look to get on the attack. They're very good off the rush. So we have to just make sure that, number one, is we're managing the puck, at both blue lines, because they're ready to go. We just have to make sure that our details are really good. We're not letting their D beat us up the ice. Their D get involved in the rush. They have a good 4 or 5 man attack at times, and we got to make sure that we're reloading really well and helping our D out, because if not, it's going to be make it really difficult on our defensemen with speed coming at you all the time if our forwards aren't doing their jobs.
Yeah, and another aspect of the game, and let me know if I'm wrong here, during this tournament progressing towards the Frozen Four, we've seen a number of games come down to crucial special teams moments. This Penn State team is pretty disciplined when it comes to special teams. They're low registered on penalty minutes. They're not getting unnecessary penalties either, and they try to find a way to take advantage and find the back of the net when they do get those opportunities. I think roughly 8 shorthanded goals on the season. So how do you make sure you keep them out of any advantage, man advantage more specifically?
Yeah, we've had our struggles with discipline this year. I think still think we're probably the most penalized team in the country. It's gotten better second half. There's no question about that. Our penalty kill has gotten better as a result of taking less penalties, so that's certainly helped. And we just got to make sure that our special teams are real good, because this time of year, historically, there's not a lot of penalties called either way. So when you do get that opportunity on the power play, you want to make sure that you take advantage of it. And then also, if you do end up in the box, you got to make sure your penalty kill is doing the job. And, we did a real good job against Cornell in both areas. There wasn't a lot of power plays. We ended up scoring a big power play goal to take the lead in the third, and we did a really good job on the penalty kill as well.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of some of those plays against Cornell, you've got guys that show up for you. You've seen that clutch gear in a number of players, and I just want to touch back to the young guys that play such a crucial role on this roster. You've got 2 Hudsons that have made a tremendous impact, but then on top of it, you've got Yzerman, who's just been so clutch. Can we start with the freshman, because you had a killer freshman year at BU, so you know what it's like to kind of speak to the confidence to help these guys be contributors early in their career in college?
Yeah, I think a big reason is we give our young guys opportunities early on in the season, so they understand that we trust them. We want them to play to their strengths. We want them to make plays. So I think that gives them a confidence early on, and they go through some growing pains over the course of their first season. But I think those guys, realize that we need them to be good for us, and we trust them that they're going to make plays at the right time. And both Cole Yzerman and Cole Hudson have been great players for us this year. Have won big games for us. Have scored in big moments. So it's a credit to them that they believe in themselves as young players, that they can help us win, and those 2 guys are a big reason why we're headed back to the Frozen Four. And then Quinn Hudson, he's been a guy, he's his third time going to the Frozen Four. I think he leads our team in game-winning goals over the last 3 seasons, so he always seems to come up big in big moments, and he's been a terrific player for us.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys you just mentioned have a number of game-winning goals that have contributed. I got to ask, have you had any hand in helping Cole Hudson when it comes to these insane angles that he scores on? Because the amount of loops that we have on social media from these goals that he scores, it's just insanely impressive.
That has absolutely nothing to do with me. That's his. He just has that ability. He's a special player. Obviously, his brother can do a lot of the same things. I think he scored that goal against who was it against? Cornell, and then you saw Lane the other night go end to end in similar type goal where he's down by the goal line and shoots it over the goalie's shoulder. So they have the ability to pick their spots, and they're special players, special talent.
Yep, sounds like a DNA thing. I'm rooting for it to turn into the National Hudson League, but I could be biased. My last name's Hudson with a D, so we'll see what takes place as these guys continue to evolve with a growing game growing so fast. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm wishing you and your boys the best of luck. Frozen Four coming up here shortly, and we're rooting for you here in New England.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks, Case. Stream the entire Sox season with a NESN 360 annual plan. It's available at an all-new reduced price of just $20 a month, paid annually. For a limited time, you get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit NESN360.com to sign up today. All right, George, I know you covered this Frozen Four faithfully. Jay Pandolfo, 3rd straight appearance in the Frozen Four with BU. He's still looking to capture his first title as a coach, though. Feels like it might be his moment, bro.
He's been there every year as a player. He played from 93 to 97, I believe.
Jeez.
And he's 93, 96, excuse me. And he's been to the Frozen Four every year since he's become head coach of his alma mater. And he's an all-time player in program history.
Yeah.
As an NHL player, he's won Stanley Cup as well. So this is a guy that and being around him, just talking with him.
I was going to ask you, what is he like, intense? Like, what's his demeanor?
Yeah, definitely intense.
All right.
But But, it's kind of, I give him in a relation to like a Geno Auriemma now.
Okay.
In a way of like, you can tell it's intense, but just very level-headed. Mm-hmm. And when he's talking to you, just so locked in, but loose. Like, I catch him at the right time with my rollover ring side. Like, I always talk to the coaches before the game.
Yeah.
I'll grab him, and he won't know it's coming, but he knows me. So if he sees me, he's like, hey, you need anything? I'll be like, hey, I got 2 questions for you. It will literally take a minute. He's like, I got 20 if you need it.
Oh.
He's just, and that's how he is. He's in the barn. But it's also the way he's been recruiting. Like, this team is led by Quinn Hudson, who is the third Hudson that's played for him, but the first one because he has 2 other brothers, Lane and Cole. Lane is now with the Canadians.
Sure.
Cole Hudson's a freshman. But Quinn, as a junior, is a leading goal scorer. They have a Cole Eiserman that he's recruited that is a first-round draft pick and will light it up in the NHL and just a mercenary of a goal scorer as well. He's recruited the likes of a Macklin Celebrini. He's gotten the talent, and he knows how to push all the buttons, like how they acquired Mikhail Yegorov. Midway through the season, all he had to do was enroll before spring classes, and he was good to play. He changed everything. And our producer, Brendan, when I was telling him about Yegorov coming in, he did the joke of like, oh, is he the X Factor now? I was like, actually, yeah. It's funny you joke about that, right? You'd say it. But I was like, if this guy can come in and play, it changes the dynamic of the team because they were getting consistent goaltending.
Yeah.
Yegorov right now is entering with a goals against average of 201 and a save percentage of 931. He consistently, night in, night out, gives that team confidence in front of him because he always keeps them in it, and he's just been so dominant in the net. It's going to be a really good Penn State team they're playing. They came out of the Big Ten, but they're good in the neutral zone. They're really smart with the puck. They're really fast, and BU's physical as well, led by Shane LaChance. I really like their chances in this Frozen
It
Four.
all goes down Thursday night with the Frozen Four. George Balekji, Travis Thomas. It all goes down here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. Till next time, peace.
Later.